Today we are starting our discussion on Aristotle. Module 1, topic 2. Aristotle, second major critical philosopher actually. Plato and Aristotle, both of them are philosophers. They didn't declare themselves to be person belonging to the area of criticism, but later their contributions, their ideas paved or in one way or other gave way to the field of literary criticism. Okay, so their points, their arguments, everything was valuable, valid in its own regard. If you when you look from the when you look from the modern time, you may feel their ideas to be outdated. That's why you people ask me the question, why are we learning Plato? Why do we get their ideas? Why should we know our ideas? Even with Aristotle, also, you cannot see much flexibility. But at the same time, as we tell every time, there is a progression from there to this time. So definitely we have to know what is that. How did literary criticism work at a past point of time, and what about it now? So this is very important. This is very important. So, what is the first idea? What's first thing we have to say about him? He's the most famous disciple of Plato. Means a student. He is a student of Plato. That's why in syllabus, though being a prominent figure, actually more famous, uh, his ideas are more prominent compared to that of Plato. He's given as the first topic. The Aristotle is given as the first topic, and then we have Plato in it. But I reversed it to make it in the order. So Plato comes first, and then Aristotle. But Aristotle's contributions, his ideas, when we discuss, you will understand, are more of a those are more important as far as the area of literary criticism is concerned. Okay, so here we will have to talk about two critical treatises, major books. That's why is there in italics, names of books. Whenever you see in typing, the standard format is to make it in italics, give it in italics. So Poetics is the name of a book. Rhetorics is the name of another book by the same person, Aristotle. Okay, Poetics and Rhetorics, very important. And here, Poetics talks about the art of poetry, Aristotle's Poetics. Every time in universities, this book is prescribed for teaching as a first, most often as the first topic in literary criticism and theory. So that important it is. We cannot sideline this person saying that he belonged to a past century or even remote time. It's not that. We cannot stay away from discussing Aristotle or even Plato. And rhetorics talks about the art of speaking. We will not have to discuss this text as of now, but poetics and many ideas from poetics will have to be taught as part of teaching Aristotle or part of knowing Aristotle. Okay, yes. So to sort out those principles, now he in his book, what does he do? Actually, he's trying to make a lot of or bring a lot of principles for the what a poetry, what does a poetry or what should a poetry, good poetry should carry, what should be the nature of it. These principles are given, and he sorts out those ideas in these texts. What is necessary for a good poet? Those are given. Those such ideas are given in poetics text. And what are the good qualities of a good orator? What are the necessary qualities of a good orator? What do you mean by oratory? It's art of speaking. Art of speaking, rhetorics, art of speaking, rhetorical quality, rhetorical skill means art of speaking. Poetry is mainly about writing. The other one is about oratory, speaking. But in theory or literary criticism area, we have to mention poetics. The maximum ideas we have to collect from poetics only, at least at UG level. Okay. Now, main concern in poetics, actually, he gives importance to poetry. We told it's mainly about poetry. But here, main concern in poetics is tragedy. How does it become possible? Here it says it is told that poetry is the major subject matter of his poetics text called the Poetics. At the same time, it is told that in his poetics text, the major concern is tragedy. How does it become possible? That's a question, because yesterday itself, with Plato, we understood, or we got the idea that drama or play as an umbrella term, a literary genre. So with the Plato, we saw tragedy, see, drama as an umbrella term, and with that different streams, different types, with like tragedy, comedy, tragicomedy, all these come. But here it says that it is told that in poetics, generally it talks about poetry, but as the next point, it is told here that his main concern in poetics is tragedy. How does it become possible? If it is drama, it's fine. One of the other types of drama, he can discuss tragedy. But here it is told that poetry is the main concern in poetics text. But sorry, a main topic. It deals with the poetry as the major topic. But his main concern in poetics is tragedy. We will come to that point later once we go step by step. So, the most developed form of poetry, that's the answer. Actually, tragedy is the most developed form of poetry in his time. That is the answer for that. We always connect tragedy to drama only, but we will see how does it become possible, how it comes in that way. Now, Aristotle's observations on tragedy and plot. Aristotle's observations on tragedy and plot. Sorry. That is the main topic that comes under this title. Now, it is observations on tragedy and plot. As an imitative art. Actually, imitation, that idea you got already. Imitation, imitative art. What is that? You have a dialogue, a script or something written there, and some persons are given roles, actors or actresses, they go and imitate the roles given to them. They are imitating some persons. In real life, you are one person. The actor is with a name and his or her own personality, actor or actress. But you are given a role, sometimes of a king or queen or a teacher or doctor, whatever. You are imitating. So every time it is happening, imitation. Especially in some of the dramatic forms, you are imitating. But poetry also, as a genre that is dealing with a life, that imitates something. What all things that it can imitate? What all themes that it can take? It can imitate two kinds of actions. Broadly speaking, it can take or imitate two kinds of actions. What are they? The noble actions of good men. That is, the appreciable, commendable actions of good men, good people. Noble, good deeds of good people. First kind of imitation can be with this. Or the mean actions of bad men, the negative deeds, negative things done by bad men. So these are the broad way. If you can classify the kind of actions done by people, that can be either of these two. Any of these two. Let's say the good deeds of some good people, good-hearted, kind-hearted people, or the mean actions, very negative actions that may have very negative impact on others or on the society. So obviously human actions are of these two kinds, can be of these two kinds. So when you imitate, when you represent those in art forms, whether it is in poetry or any kind of art, it can be classified, it can fall into these two types. Okay, yes. So that which, now you come to this. Already told, tragedy is the most developed form. It comes at a later stage, later point of time. But before that, actually, that which imitated the noble actions of good men came to be called epic. So first major poetic form is epic itself. Epic. Actually, that noble actions of good men, whenever represented in poetic form, at a past point or before the development of tragedy or any other later forms, those were written in epic format. Epics. Like sometimes, now you know what an epic is as a literary form. What do you mean by an epic? In poetry, you will study that. A serious, heroic character focused upon a particular person and his or her, his or her, there is no question of that, because in the past, women never got representation. Either they are subordinate characters or supporting characters. So here, epic usually used to praise or focus upon a particular hero, his own adventurous life, and other characters are there around him in their own roles, but the major focus is upon this hero and his life, birth, then growth, youth, young stage, youth, then to the middle age, to the death. So this is the progression of a person's life, sometimes epics portray. Then that which imitated the mean actions of bad men gave rise to satire. At the same time, the underdeveloped, the poetry as a literary form, if you take the forms which you could locate before its ultimate development or the modern time, the development you see at present, those were classified as the good men's actions of good men, once represented as poems or in poetic form, those were called epic. And that which imitated the mean actions of bad men gave rise to what? Satire. Nowadays we have satire in a different take of the term. Satires are something different. Aksheba hasyam. The idea is that. But in poetic form, you used to get it. Then, in the course of time, that is it, in the course of time. Wait. In the course of time, it's not cause, in the course of time, C-O-U-R-S-E, course of time, tragedy and comedy came from these two forms of poetry. Hope now it is clear. Tragedy and comedy came up from these two forms of poetry. Epic gave rise to tragedy. Epic, that means the noble actions, performing something, imitating the noble actions of good men. In the very past time period, you used to have epic form. But at a later time period or in a course of time, mm, it's on form. It's on form. Some revision came as part of its form, and that gave rise to tragedy. See, the same color. I made the same color. Epic to tragedy. And at the same time, and comedy came up from these two forms, and comedy from satire. You see that? The same color, matching color, comedy. So from epic, you had tragedy, and in course of time from satire, you have comedy. Now we have tragedy and comedy as the major divisions for drama. But actually, these existed in poetic forms. So deriving, that is happening always. You know how language and its evolution, how it became a part of it, so how its progressions happen. You just think about old English to modern English. The semantic changes, word, even the script, everything is changing. In the same way, literary forms too change. Now we have haiku. Now we have plays that are ending just in seconds. Think about the earlier time, and we will have a discussion on tragedy at a great in detail. What all ideas are there on the part of Aristotle on tragedy? How a tragedy should be written or performed or composed. But now you have a play called Breath. Search for the idea, search for that play. It is just a breath. It's a breathing. In seconds, it ends. So that also is called play now. But think about bringing such a script to these philosophers of a past classical time period. They would never say that no, this is but they would never appreciate it because they have their own ideas about the compositions and everything. Okay, yes. Now, tragedy bears the same relation to epic as comedy to satire. That's it. Tragedy bears the same relation to epic. Means from epic, tragedy arises. So the same way, satire gives rise to comedy later. That's already told and it's a restatement only. Now, the epic and tragedy as imitations of noble actions of good men are considered superior to satire and comedy. There is no doubt about it. There is no doubt about it. There's epic and tragedy. Obviously, already it is told that epic imitates the good actions of good men or the actions of good men, noble actions of good men. Now, in tragedy also you can see tragedy is ultimately about an unhappy ending. So you may feel like, oh, it's not something really comforting. But Aristotle holds very good opinion about tragedy because ultimately it imitates the noble actions of good men, and he considers it superior to satire and comedy. Comedy at a latest time period, satire as a source for its evolution at latest stage, satire. So superior to satire and comedy. Now, between tragedy and epic, now already these two in a set. From epic, epic gives rise to tragedy, satire gives rise to comedy, and then between these two sets, he considers tragedy as the superior one. Tragedy as the superior one. But when you compare the later forms like tragedy and epic, Aristotle considers the former superior. When you write down tragedy and epic in a sequence, in this order, former, which one do you mean by the former? Tragedy, the first told term, is superior to the later. Means tragedy is more important than epic. Because already it has its own evolution and its own development. Though it comes from epic, it is derived from epic. Its source is epic, epic style. Tragedy has its own additional components or something better in it. So these two sets of evolution, when he talks about tragedy and epic together as the superior. When you compare it with satire and comedy as a set together, but when you talk about tragedy and epic, in its own, he considers this later form as something high and superior. So that's why whole discussion on the part of this critique is focused upon most, I would say 95% of his poetic text is concerned about tragedy. It's devoted to the discussion upon tragedy as a literary form. Now, tragedy has all this. But now the answer for this. Why does he show such a partiality? Now the answer for all this. Tragedy has all the elements of the epic. That's the first point. Tragedy has all the elements of the epic. Hope that idea is clear for you. How the superiority content is decided. പറഞ്ഞുതരാം. അതായത് എപ്പിക്കിൽ നിന്ന് ട്രാജഡി ഇവോൾവ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. അതുപോലെ സറ്റയർ, ആദ്യത്തെ ഫോംസ് ഏതാണ്? എപ്പിക്കും സറ്റയറും ആണ്. അതിൽ നിന്ന് എപ്പിക്കിൽ നിന്ന് ട്രാജഡി എന്നൊരു കുറച്ചുകൂടി ഡ്രമാറ്റിക് ഫോമിലേക്ക് വരുന്നു. സറ്റയർ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന പ്യുവർ പോയറ്റിക് ഫോം എന്ന് കോമഡി എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു കാര്യം ഇവോൾവ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. പക്ഷെ അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെ അതിനെ രണ്ടിനെയും കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ഈ ഒരു സെറ്റ് ഓഫ് കോമ്പിനേഷനാണ് ഏറ്റവും സുപ്പീരിയർ എന്ന് ആര് പറയുന്നു? Who tells? Who's the critic that we're discussing? Which critic? Now, let me check whether you are still there or fell asleep. Which critic says all these? Tell me, some of you, please. Are you there in the meeting or who says all this?
Aristotle.
Okay, that's it. Okay. Now, then, when you come to the discussion of tragedy and epic, അതിൽ നിന്ന് തന്നെ എപ്പിക്കും ട്രാജഡിയും തമ്മിൽ കമ്പയർ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ട്രാജഡിയാണ് ആര് സുപ്പീരിയർ ആയിട്ട് പറയുന്നത്? അരിസ്റ്റോട്ടിൽ. That's why he devotes most of his 95% of his major text called Poetics. He devotes the whole, the 95% of the text for the discussion on tragedy as a literary form, literary type. Now we will see എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് അപ്പൊ എപ്പിക്കിൽ നിന്നാണ് ട്രാജഡി ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നിട്ടും എപ്പിക്കിനേക്കാളും ഹൈ status he gives to, or importance he gives to tragedy. What's the reason for that? Let us see. Tragedy has all the elements of the epic. Tragedy has all the elements of the epic, but in a shorter space. But in a shorter space. What is that? In addition, but in a shorter space means obviously we'll have to discuss that now itself. All the elements of the epic. Noble actions of good men getting represented or imitated, so that there is no compromise in that. Mean persons cannot be represented as part of tragedy. There may be villainous people, roles, everything, but the focus is upon the hero, so that focus is upon the good deeds and the noble actions of that particular heroic character. All the elements of the epic can be located in a tragedy. If you compose a tragedy out of a particular epic, or even later elements, in the sense you can take the form and content, whatever is there you can take as part of the elements. Mainly theme based discussion or idea comes with the elements. Now, but in a shorter space, what is it? In a shorter space, Any dramatic form is supposed to be or meant to be staged apart from its purpose for reading or purpose of reading being read out. It is meant to be staged. So you cannot go beyond a limit. You cannot go beyond a limit. Right. The if you take a person's life, a noble man or noble hero's life, you would like to compose it in tragedy, a form of a tragedy, you have to make it comparatively shorter. You have to make it comparatively shorter. Means an epic means the sometimes some religions use it as their scriptures and epic length. I'll tell you. Epic length writings are comparatively very big, thick books are there. If you take it in book form or even it is if you start reading, it's very lengthy. It's in a very lengthy one, and when you make it in a tragic form, tragedy as a dramatic type is meant to be staged as well as to be read. Apart from its purpose for reading, it can be staged as well. So the ideas, the content, the content, then characters, events, everything is supposed to be given or limited in a particular time limit as well as in a shorter space. Means characters, numbers, events, those are getting incorporated. Sometimes you take the life of a hero from an epic based on the same person's life. But you cannot add all the events that are narrated in the epic form, because in tragedy it has its own limit for getting the events or for exploring the events. So in addition, music and spectacular effects. Apart from this, it has music and spectacular effects, stage effects, representing it on stage. You can add music and spectacular effects. Please see the term spectacle. Spectacular means stage effects, and it is more compact in design. More compact. What do you mean by compact? Compact disc. Nowadays you don't have it. Compact disc, CD. Now you may not be that familiar with. But when we people began using these computers and our CDs, compact discs were much in use. It's compact device actually. Comparatively, it's not very thick, it's not having much weight. It's easy to carry. That's what I mean by compact, making it very compact. Now we have more far compact designs and far compact devices. Think about a pen drive, more easy to carry. Memory cards. So compact means making it very easy to handle. So here the compact design is very compact. It's not page. It's not. It doesn't run to page after page or many pages. Too many pages. But almost all the major events connected with the hero's life given in an epic connected to that should be incorporated as well, or should be added as well, should be represented as well. So much of the poetics, he allows that a discussion on tragedy. We can see much of the poetic, it's allotted with a discussion on tragedy itself. Already told that. Now, characteristics of a tragedy. Now we are taking the true or real caught or tragedy as given in Aristotle's own term. I'm going to read, and please note down for examination time at least if you can learn this and write down this if you have a question, either essay or paragraph, whatever it may be, or even as a definition, it can be asked for 2 marks question or whatever. Wherever it is asked, if you can write down this in its in this form, it will be really appreciable and commendable. Tragedy, according to Aristotle, you start quoting that because that's the exact sentence given in his text, poetics text, is an imitation of an action that is serious, complete, and of a certain magnitude in language embellished with each kind of artistic ornament, the several kinds being found in separate parts of the play, in the form of action, not of narrative, through pity and fear, affecting the proper purgation of these emotions. I know you haven't understood anything. We will discuss each and every word. We will have to dissect and know when you if you have to get the true or proper meaning of Aristotle or Aristotle's definition on tragedy according to Aristotle. Okay, so we will have that discussion in the coming session. I think that will be better to be kept for the next session. I think just read out what he has to talk about tragedy. We'll resume our discussion in the next class. Thank you.